Hello everyone, I got a good one for you today. Got my 05 Caravan here, and I developed a leak in the steel line going back to my rear heater core. So to replace that steel line, buying those factory lines cost over $100, and I wanted to do something less expensive. So for under $10 or around $10, you can buy yourself some heater hose, 5/8 heater hose, and do this repair. You'll eliminate your rear heater core, but again, it's about $10 in materials. So, and it works. I've been driving the van for over a week now. I don't have any issues with overheating. It's summertime. So this should be an effective way to help you out if you don't want to go the route of replacing those steel lines and spending that kind of money. So we're going to bring you in here, show you the wiring diagram, or the water schematic of the coolant flow, and we'll talk about what I'm going to do. So looking at this schematic, you see I have my front heater core and my rear heater core. And essentially all this is a Y pipe right here and right here. So these would be the steel lines that are going back to the rear core. And I'm going to show you that later in the video. Now, because these steel lines are right above an exhaust, then we cannot just splice rubber hose in, because in doing so, that exhaust would just melt this rubber hose. So that's why I'm doing the bypass. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of heater hose, and I'm going to run the top hose from the heater core down to the water pump, and that's going to be my longer piece of hose. Something that's about 4 feet long should be sufficient. The bottom line is going to go straight to my thermostat housing, and that line is going to be something like this, about a foot, maybe a little shorter. We'll show you that as well. So hope that makes sense, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to lift the hood and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Well, here, let me do this first. So if you could back up here. So again, that top line, the heater core is right about here, and we're going to show you that in a second. That top line is about a 4-foot length of hose. It's going to come out of the heater core, and all I did was just loop it like this and down. And the water, so the water pump's over here. There's a steel line that runs from here and comes up. So this rubber hose will connect that steel line right here. It's a little hard to see with the wiper cowl in. I'll show you some views with the wiper cowl out. But that's essentially how this is. What you have to be careful with is this piece of new hose you put in. Just make sure it's not up against anything sharp. Make sure it's not up against the exhaust manifold. So just be careful with your routing. So we're going to open the hood, and I'll give you a better view. Okay, before I go further, one thing that is very important to let you know is doing this, you're not going to have any coolant flow to the rear heater core, obviously. So if you have people that you're transporting in the back, if you have children, you want to have heat in the back for your children, this is not the right repair for you. So, but if you're like me and you're the only one who uses this van, I don't haul my family around in this van anymore, then it's quite sufficient, because I'm not worried about the heat in the back. So without further ado, we'll take a better look at these lines. So here's a look at those heater core hoses replaced. So this is just a 5/8 hose. It's probably 4 or 5 feet long. Comes out of the top hose, or top connector, and loops around, runs back, and then goes straight down here to the water pump inlet. You can see that clamp. That clamp is the water. That rusty clamp is the water pump inlet line that runs along the back side of the engine. And the lower connector is here, and it just runs underneath this coil pack. It's a lot easier to do this with the coil pack removed. It's this line right here. And that goes to the thermostat housing, the back of it. So, a piece of advice, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some 3/4 inch or 1 inch rubber hose. I'm going to cut it, and then I'll put it around this line so that it doesn't rub through here, here. Just 2 spots where it's potential just from vibration to rub through it. That'd be my recommendation. But I've been driving it for a couple months now. It's not leaking. I've had no problems with overheating or having heat. So should help you out. It's a lot better than spending money on those lines, running those lines from the front to go all the way to that rear heater core. Here's the old one, and I just left those in place. I've taken some wire ties and wrapped this piece of 7/8 hose around the heater hose just to help prevent that rubbing, chafing, prevent any possible future leaks. You can see that right there where the old aluminum hose was, and up here where the breather is. So that's actually dishwasher drain hose. It cost me under $6 and some wire ties, and that should help prevent any future leaks from vibration. I'm underneath the vehicle. This is where it's leaking, where that bracket is. End up just chafing a hole right through the line. You can see some of the coolant still there, and it just leaked out. So here's the exhaust that I dropped. And if you put a rubber hose up in here, a heater hose, of course you'd be right next to the exhaust and it would burn that right up. So rather than buy a new steel line, I'm going to just go ahead and eliminate this rear heater core. That goes right there, goes up inside to the rear of the van. And there's the shock, rear shock, to let you know where we are. Rear shock, rear heater core. All the lines up. There's the clamp, and there's where the line is leaking. Okay, so that's it in a nutshell, and I hope that helps you. If it does, please like, please subscribe. I'll continue to keep putting the videos out, especially these Caravans. I like keeping it on the road. This thing has 225,000 miles. I plan to keep running it as long as I can. So again, hope it helped you, and please like and subscribe. So one final comment, someone may ask, when you use that long hose, why didn't you just take the hose out of the top and bend it straight down? And I did look at that, and I was worried that it was pretty tight and I was going to get a restriction. It was going to look something like that. I don't know if you can see that in the camera. So by taking it and keeping it long and making nice, easy bends, I know I won't have any restrictions. So your other option would be to go to the auto parts store, see if you can buy a preformed hose that already has a 90-degree bend in it. But this is essentially something you're going to need. And again, you see that where my thumb is, it starts to collapse there, and I did not want to get into a restriction which is why I went with the longer hose.